Hello and welcome everyone. I'm Nicola from Coconut Fit. Our focus today is on strength training and cardio fat burn. We will do this in two groups that we will repeat twice through. All you're going to need is an optional set of dumbbells and an exercise mat. We'll start with a lovely warm-up, move into our main session and end it with a cool down and stretch. Please ensure you have a clear workout space, a bottle of water and a towel. And we will begin shortly. Starting in with a warm-up. So nice and easy, stepping side to side as you take those arms across your chest. Slowly raising your heart rate, warming up your body for the exercises ahead. And moving into our next exercise, moving into a jog as you raise those heels off the floor, keeping that core engaged throughout. Nice and easy, gradually picking up that pace. Going into the shoulder rolls, drawing your shoulders up and to the front and taking it up and to the back, those nice big rolls there. Really mobilizing into that shoulder joint. Going into the squat with a push, and as you come up for that back squeeze. So as you lower down into that squat, tracking your knees in line with your toes, keeping that core engaged, the chest lifted, pushing those arms out in front of you. And as you come up, squeezing your buttocks on the way up, drawing those elbows back and squeezing your shoulder blades together. Going into the lateral lunge, so moving from side to side as you send those hips back from one side and moving on to the opposite side, those knees track in line with those toes. Going into that walk down plank. So slowly lowering yourself down to the floor with the soft bend in those knees, walking your hands out in front into a plank and slowly coming back to a stand. And repeat. Remember to keep that core engaged throughout. And we're done with our warm-up. Moving into our main session, starting with that resistance training. So going into the SUMO squats, we're going for 10 repetitions. Again, tracking those knees in line with those toes, keeping that core engaged, chest is lifted. Drawing those dumbbells up for that bicep curl. Keeping the elbows close towards your ribcage throughout. Really work within your own range of motion for all these exercises. Moving into that lateral lunge with the front raise. We are transitioning really quickly through these exercises, so if you need a little longer rest in between all of them, that's okay. Go ahead and take that and get back into the exercises as soon as you can. So again, we are stepping from side to side, 10 on each leg there. Raising those palms up for that front raise. Working into the shoulders there. You have a few more repetitions to go. Keep doing it. And we are moving into that glute bridge. So keeping those knees in line with those ankles. Squeezing your buttocks and thrusting your hips up. Bringing your palms together. A soft bend in those elbows as you open up for that chest fly. Moving into the Superwoman with the lat squeeze. Again, 10 repetitions. Keep those buttocks squeezed to protect your lower back. Lifting your hands, chest and legs off the floor as high as you can. As you draw your elbows down and back for that lat squeeze. If you need to modify, you can keep your feet on the floor. Just go in for that upper body movement. Moving into the tricep dips. So we're just bending and straightening at that elbow joint. There's a very small movement in the hip there. Most of the movement is from those elbows, working on those triceps. We have a 30-second rest here, so take the time to hydrate. Prepare yourself for the next round. Starting in with the sumo squats and bicep curls again. Going in for 10 repetitions. You can take on the modifications there anytime you need to. Moving into those lateral lunges again with a front raise. Those knees follow in line with those toes. Keep that core engaged throughout. Lifting those arms in line with those shoulders. Few more to go before we move into our next exercise. Moving into that glute bridge with the chest fly. Take on the modification if you need to, so just doing the chest fly without the glute bridge. But challenge yourself if you can. Going into that Superwoman with the lat squeeze again, so 10 repetitions. Remember to squeeze your buttocks, protecting that lower back as you slowly lift your upper and lower body simultaneously off the floor. Keep that core engaged and those hips in contact with the mat. Moving into those tricep dips again. So really focus on working those triceps. I know it's a really small range of motion, but make the most of it. Keeping those palms in line with the shoulders, sending those elbows back. And we are done with that. Going into our rest again, so 30 seconds. Before we move into our cardio fat burn, we have 2 cycles of that. We'll be starting in with that crisscross jump. You can take on the modification if you need to. So crossing one foot in front of the other and then jumping it apart and repeating on the other leg. You can take on the modification if you need to. If you want to cut out the jump and just step, that's fine as well. Just keep moving throughout. We'll be moving into our next exercise, going in for the squat jacks. So a few more seconds of rest before we move into it. Again, tracking those knees in line with those toes as you send those hips back, keeping that core engaged, keeping the chest lifted as you open your arms out and wide. Again, you can take on the modification if you need to. If you want to cut out the jump and just step, that's fine as well. And a quick rest before we move into those bicycle crunches. So coming onto the mat again, as you draw one knee to the opposite elbow, keeping that core engaged throughout, really firing up that entire abdominal region. You can take on the modification if you need to. Just keep your knees bent and feet flat on the floor. And draw one knee to the opposite elbow. Few more seconds to go. Give it your best. And we are shortly moving into those mountain climbers.
So coming into that plank again, keeping that core engaged, drawing those knees towards your chest. Again, you can take on the modification if you need to. Remember to keep those wrists in line with the shoulders throughout. Keep pushing, you have a few more seconds to go. Quick rest here. Again, we're moving into the second cycle, so going into those crisscross jumps. That heart rate will be really increasing by now. So if you really need at any time to take a little longer rest, go ahead and do so, but just get back into it as soon as you can. Just a few more seconds to go before we move into our next exercise. This is your last round, so keep pushing yourself as much as you can. It's a really short, quick workout. You just want to give it your all. Starting in with those squat jacks again. It's okay if you can't get all that low down, just keep moving. Keep your core engaged, send those hips back. A few more seconds to go. And have a few seconds rest before we move into those bicycle crunches. So again, keep that lower back pressed to the mat, keep that core engaged as you draw the opposite knee to the opposite elbow. And a quick rest there. We're moving into our last exercise shortly, so going into those mountain climbers. This is the last exercise, so really try and push yourself as much as you can. You just have few seconds of work to go before we move into our cool down and stretch. So tell yourself that just few more seconds, I'm going to give it my very best. And just keep pushing yourself as much as you can. We have our last few seconds to go before we get done. So keep moving. Always trying to get an extra few in when I can. Well done, everyone. Good effort. We are shortly moving into our cool down and stretch. So nice and easy, crossing one arm on top of the other, going in for the toe taps at the same time, slowly bringing down that heart rate. You should always do your cool down and stretch to reduce any soreness. It really helps to improve your flexibility and range of motion. So we're moving into that adductor and oblique stretch there, so leaning to one side. So feeling the stretch along the inner thigh of that straightened leg and along the sides of that upper body. And switching to the opposite side. And release. We are moving into our next stretch. So going in for the deltoid and hamstring stretch. Keeping those feet wide apart, soft bend in those knees, interlocking those fingers. And folding forward as you feel that stretch in the front of the shoulders and at the back of those legs. And slowly come back up. And release. We are moving into a back stretch. So interlocking those fingers in front of you and arching that back, feeling a lovely stretch all along the upper back. Moving into a quad stretch. So drawing one heel up to that buttock, keeping the knees together as you draw your hips forward. Really feeling the stretch along the front of the thigh. And moving to the opposite leg. Try and balance if you can, but if you need the support of the wall, that's okay. And moving into the next stretch. So coming onto the floor for this next one. We're going in for that glute stretch, so drawing one knee in front of the other, keeping the chest lifted there, keeping the back leg straightened as much as you can. And switching to the opposite leg. Going in for our next stretch. So moving into the chest and tricep stretch, bringing your elbows down to the floor, keeping your palms together as you send those hips back there, feeling the stretch all along your chest and your triceps. And release, moving into our next stretch, so going in for the child pose, really stretching out those lats there. Sending those hips back, keeping the arms extended in front of you. And release. We are moving into our last stretch, going into those hips and spinal stretch. So bending those knees, one in front, one at the back, and twisting to one side, feeling a lovely stretch in the spine. And switching to the opposite side. You can always do a longer stretch if you need to. And release. We are done with our workout. Well done and good effort.
Thank you everyone for joining me. I really hope you enjoyed that session. All the best for this coming new year, and I hope you stick with your New Year's resolution and continue on your journey to health and fitness. If you like this video, please subscribe to my YouTube channel and turn on that bell notification for new videos. Until next time, stay happy and let's keep moving!